Welcome to Daily Plunge. We are in the Gospel of John, chapter 12, verses 9 through 19. Now, the beginning of this passage is taking place out in Bethany, where there's a celebration going on. Jesus is the guest of honor, and what was supposed to be a wake, a funeral for Lazarus, has turned into a celebration of life because Lazarus has been raised from the dead. And so they've come to see Jesus, and they've come to see the evidence. They've come to see Lazarus. And this is a problem for the powers that are, the status quo powers. They need to get rid of the evidence. They need to get rid of Lazarus. And they make plans to kill Lazarus. Why? Because the powers of this world, the status quo, uses violence and the threat of death to keep people in line. Throughout all of history, those that control the people use violence and the threat of death to control people. And if death is no longer a problem because Jesus Christ conquers death, then what will happen then? We can't have that, right? Now, the next day it says, a great crowd had come to Jerusalem for the Passover. And Leviticus 23, verse 40 talks about how they're supposed to cut down branches to celebrate that first day of the festival, to rejoice before the Lord your God. And now this rejoicing, these branches are being used to celebrate Jesus Christ, in a sense, to celebrate him as God. And it quotes Psalm 118. Right? Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Well, this comes from a messianic psalm that talks about the right hand of God that does mighty things and brings salvation. The crowd is calling him the blessed King of Israel. They're calling him the Messiah. And then we hear the prophet Zechariah quoted, chapter 9, where Jesus is riding the donkey. And, this is a prophecy of the Messiah. And this is not just any Messiah. This is not just any king. This is the king that raises the dead, right? Now, it says that in verse 16, that the disciples didn't understand all that was going on at the time. And only later did they understand that the prophecies about the Messiah were being fulfilled, in part because Jesus taught them after the resurrection. Now, it says in verse 17, the crowd that had been with Jesus at the dinner party, the celebration of life in Bethany, well, they've come down to Jerusalem too, right? And they're telling everybody, yeah, that's the guy that raised that guy from the dead. And the Pharisees complain, the Sadducees complain that the whole world is going after him. And why not? Nothing brings faith like dead lives being restored to new life, right? Nothing excites us more than to know that death has been conquered, that the things that seek to destroy us have been conquered in Jesus Christ. And so the crowd goes out to meet him, and so too should we go out to meet Christ, who is our Savior. Well, thanks, friends. Have a blessed day.